Hello everyone, my name is Sabria Fallon. I'm involved in modern worship, common space, and open table fellowship. And today I want to share a story about peace. So I want to start off by giving a little bit of background about myself for context. So I grew up in Ohio as the oldest of 6 kids in a very tight-knit family. Our family's faith foundation was very strong, which is a huge credit to my grandfather. He has his doctorate in theology, and so he would often lead sermons, worship sessions and Bible studies for my family, and actually still continues to this day to do that. So he is a huge reason why I grew up believing in and ultimately started being a follower of God. Aside from my faith, much of my identity has always been in my role as an older sister and an athlete. Since middle school, it was my dream to play college basketball, and ultimately what led me to want to play college basketball was to be an example for my 5 younger siblings. My parents also played a huge role in pushing me to work hard, and I prayed for an opportunity to achieve this dream, again with the hope that I would set a strong example for my family and for my younger siblings. God did bless me with the opportunity to play Division I college basketball at the United States Military Academy at West Point. So after 18 years of living in the same town, I left Ohio in July of 2019 and started my journey as a cadet athlete in West Point, New York. I knew that attending a military academy for 4 years would definitely come with a lot of different challenges, but my biggest fear was actually that I'd be leaving my 5 younger siblings behind in Ohio. So as you can imagine, coming from a very tight-knit family, this was a very scary thought for me. But despite my anxieties, I knew that this change was necessary in pursuing what I believe was God's purpose for me, and I was really excited to get there and embrace the challenges that would lie ahead. The school year and basketball season started off really strong. I ended up earning a spot in the starting lineup, which is uncommon for a college freshman. My family and friends back home would often watch my games on ESPN. I was fortunate enough to have my parents travel down and bring my siblings to watch me play. And I felt like at the time, I had God on my side and everything was going really well. But right before our conference play started in December, I ended up tearing my ACL. Not only could I no longer play basketball, but I couldn't even walk without assistance. For me, this led to a lot of feelings of anger and depression, and this is when my faith started to really be put to the test. For most of my life up to this point, I found much of my purpose in being an older sister and an athlete. I felt like I was unable to fulfill those really important roles in my life, and my mental health took a turn for the worst, and it seemed like all areas of my life lacked peace. During this period of darkness, I experienced another significant challenge. I struggled with the truth of my sexuality. I experienced feelings of guilt, embarrassment, and anxiety. For a time, I even believed that God was punishing me with a torn ACL as a result of my homosexuality. I took on this identity of shame and shook hands with the lies that I was not good enough to turn to God. I couldn't understand how I consider myself a Christian and a queer person, so there was this constant battle that I was facing within myself. Ultimately, I kept trying to deny who I am, and for the better part of 5 years, I was inconsistent in my faith and distant from the Lord. My mind was in an endless circular thinking pattern that I could not free myself from. I would spiral and tell myself that I'm an imposter Christian, that I'm not a present sister, and that I'm not a productive teammate, and that I'm simply not worthy enough for God's love and grace. I also tried my best to hide these struggles from my family and from my teammates. Every day, I denied who I was out of shame and embarrassment. What helped me find peace during this time is my belief that God's plan never fails. To be clear, I don't necessarily believe that every single thing is predetermined, but rather when seemingly bad things happen, God can always use it for good, and that He gets the final say. I longed to return to basketball and to even start walking and running again, and I found hope in the recovery process. In my heart, I knew God had a purpose for me. Shortly before I tore my ACL, my younger brother tore his ACL at the age of 9 years old during a football game. On my basketball team, I was the first knee injury of that season, and 5 of my teammates would later sustain the same injury. At the time of my injury, I didn't know that I would be the leader in that group of recovering young women. Additionally, knowing my younger brother had to go through all the same therapy was very humbling. Since I was the first one to go through it on my team, I was able to set a good example for the recovering group and provide support for them. I worked very hard to recover and return to basketball the next season as a better athlete and teammate than I was before my injury. Once again, God's plan never fails. Reflecting back on this time, I realized that even though I would consider this a moment or the moment when I felt the weakest in my faith, God was still able to use my life for good. I was still able to be somebody my siblings looked up to, somebody who was strong and reliable for my teammates, and I still gave the credit to God even though I was so unsure what exactly I believed in or what He was doing in my life. Even for my family and friends at home who were able to see the process of my return from my injury, I know I gave a lot of people hope, and it wasn't because I was a good basketball player. There was so much change during that time in my life. Leaving home, the military, my injury, basketball, coming out, and my sexuality. But the only thing that remained the same was God. There are people who were there my entire life that didn't support me. I was hot and cold in my faith. Some days I would pray and some days I just wouldn't. But no matter how far I strayed, He never left me. When I graduated from West Point, while I experienced even more change, I was able to finally separate myself from a lot of the stress I was under and started truly trying to work on my faith again. I ended up marrying my wife, Elisa, who also attended West Point and was my former basketball teammate. Elisa has played a huge role in encouraging me to pursue my faith. She has never judged me for where I was spiritually and has truly been my rock throughout my journey. Elisa and I are now members of this church after searching for the right fit for a very long time. I also just recently got baptized. So going from a very dark time where I lacked peace, was unsure of my identity in Christ and just who I am as a person, I'm very proud to be here today to say that I'm finally experiencing genuine peace and joy in my life. I'll be honest, I still didn't fully heal from that time, but my path to peace started with realizing that I'm a child of God. I shifted my focus on actually getting to know God's character, so when I would hear the lies in my head or judgment from other people, I would catch myself and think for a second, is this really something God would say about me? No, so what would He say? What does the Bible reveal about His character? The answer is simple. I am who I am because of Him. I find peace in this truth. Over the past 6 years, I have taken a huge step back and reevaluated my beliefs. Are these beliefs I held as a young person a result of true belief, or are they just the ones I've been taught and told to believe my whole life? Knowing that I don't have to earn God's love or grace has taken so much pressure off. My hope is that through sharing this, I can be a witness of God's love and the peace that comes with knowing Him.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Stories from the Seats. Don't forget to follow or subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. If you have a story that you think would be great on the podcast, email us at podcasts@ahumc.org. That's podcasts@ahumc.org. To learn more about who we are, visit our website ahumc.org anytime. Any related links are also in this episode's show notes. Again, thank you so much for being a listener. We truly appreciate your time.